So, the state of Pokemon right now is a disaster, and I'm sure a lot of people know that. Recently, there has been the video on Twitter, which originated on Instagram, I think, where people storm a Walmart and just empty the shelves all in the cart, like on the kids shows I watched back in the day, where they had like 2 minutes time to push everything in a cart, and they just got everything from that. That's kind of how the state of Pokemon is right now. There also was the incident where a gun was drawn when attackers ambushed a man outside of the store after he got some Pokemon stuff. And to think that something like that happens around a card game that has a main audience of children and teens is unbelievable to me. Because I'm a Pokemon judge myself, and the store I play at and the store I manage the tournaments at, we have a mixed audience out of very young children, the youngest being 7, and people in their like 20s, 30s. And they usually played together before the pandemic. But ever since the pandemic broke out, there has been this ongoing issue of everyone just going crazy about Pokemon. People keep saying Logan Paul is like the cause of all of this, but I think he's only part of the whole problem altogether. The main problem being that Pokemon dialed down production because they thought, oh, a pandemic broke out, nobody is going to play cards, we can dial down the production. Then there being the issue that Pokemon has to print Charizard into every fucking set. Like, I think we got like 13 or something Charizards in the Sun and Moon era, and we got like 4 or 5 era already, the Sword and Shield era. And they put one Charizard into every special set, so they knew it would sell like nothing else. They had Charizard in Champion's Path. They had Charizard in in Sword and Shield 3. They had Charizard in Shining Fates. Then there came the Hidden Fates reprint, and all of these were always sold out. I'm personally one that if I buy Pokemon product, I buy 4 of each, because I want to play set off the promo cards, and if I pull something nice along the way, I'm fine. And I don't buy anything past that. I'm not one to buy like 10 booster boxes, because that's just not for me. But the longer this problem has been going on, the more people start this mentality of I have to buy everything in store, otherwise I don't get anything. And a lot of these people also resell this, and people keep saying, oh, it's the singles that people are after, but no, it's entirely the sealed product that people care about. I've seen at local retailers, big ones, Smith Toys and other German chains, that people camped outside the stores for hours, waited until the stores opened, then went in, bought up the entire stock, went outside the store, and said, okay, if anyone wants something from this, you better pay me twice the retail, 3 times, then you can have it. And it's disgusting to me. It's absolutely disgusting, that behavior. And it had a really bad taste in my mouth for most of the time, starting with Champion's Path. Like, that's where the issues arose. And when I started collecting Champion's Path, I was like, okay, I like this set. You know, it's not a very strong set, but I like it because the product looked nice to me. I like the colors, and like the orange and black stuff. So I went to my local store and I talked to them, and he's entered the store and I said, we don't have much of this stuff. I was like, what's going on? What's wrong? Like, we didn't get nearly as much as we ordered. And that's like the next issue. Because Pokemon dialed back production, they weren't prepared for this at all. So, when I bought this stuff, it was fine. But even stores like had to price it higher and higher and higher because they got less stock and they had to keep their existence alive somehow. Which is understandable. I have no problems paying like 10%, 15% more for a product from a local store instead of a retailer, like a big retail chain, because I can support the store. They have a floor for playing and all that. Not during the pandemic, of course, but before and after they do. And they still have the same running costs most of the time. Even more so because they can't sell drinks and such. So I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. The main issue here is that people saw these raised prices And they bought the product for these raised prices and then decided, you know what, I'm going to sell it for even more than that. And as soon as Champions Path came out, there were people camping outside of Smith Lake. I actually went to a Smith Toys near me to get 1 or 2 Champions Path Elite Trainer boxes because I was like, you know what, might as well try. And when I went there, I walked there like 30 minutes and I arrived 20 minutes before the store opened because I was plenty of time for me. And about 10 minutes after that, there were about 30 people behind me in line. And as soon as the store opened, people just rushed in, like in the video that on Twitter, and like went to the counter and was like, oh, where's Champions Path? Where's Champions Path? Do you have it? Do you have it in store? And Smith was like, we didn't get anything. And people got mad. People got really mad. And I talked to some of the people there because I was like, why do you want this? Why? But what's like the hold up? And a lot of people there were actually parents who wanted to get this for their children. And I think those are the people that are impacted the most by this. It's not the collectors, it's not the resellers, it's not the stores themselves, it's the people who have kids. And I'm not gonna go on a tangent and be like, oh, think of the kids. But the thing is, at the LGS where I judge at, the young players are usually the ones who don't have any concept of how this whole product chain works, because of course they can't. And they just want to get the booster packs with the pretty cards in it. They don't care if they're good. You know? They know there's strong cards in that, but they don't care. They just want something. You can get them like the worst box that store has and they'll still be happy because it's Pokemon. And that's the problem with the whole situation, because you can't do that anymore. You can't go to any retail store here and get Pokemon cards, because some of them outright remove them and others just don't have any. And it got so bad during the whole time that they actually put up like little posters in the store doors and were like, yeah, we don't have Pokemon. Don't come. And every time my LGS, I was at my LGS for release stuff for Pokemon, the calls were just never ending. Every second someone called was like, oh, do you have this set? Do you have this set? And this kind of bites into the next issue, the resellers. Because those people who do get product resell it for an immense markup. And I've been telling this to my friends and anyone I'm associated with, that this should just be illegal. We saw it with the PlayStation 5, we saw it with the Xbox Series X, we see it with the graphics cards still right now, and trading cards are just another part of that whole thing. And reselling with a markup should just be outlawed, just straight out. I don't care necessarily how it should be done. I don't make the laws. I don't know how the intricacies of the justice system would work with that. But someone up there should figure this out, because it's affecting a lot of people. And people can argue, oh, card games are luxury, graphics cards are luxury. But the thing is, a lot of people actually rely on this as a living. I mean, there's, for instance, with GPUs, we have people who program for a living, people who do game design for a living, people who draw, people who model. All these people rely on graphics cards. And the newest graphics cards especially are good for that. But since people just buy them on bulk and then resell them for like a 200% markup, nobody has them. And Pokemon has the same problem with cards. Like, there are people who legitimately make a living of these, specifically LGS. And they can't mark them up too much, otherwise nobody will buy them from them and they just sit on the product and they lose. Like, the LGS are the ones who lose either way in this situation. Like, people could argue, oh, but they're gonna sell the product anyway, but the thing is, they don't get the amount they need anyway. So they can't even guarantee you your pre-order. And resellers are gonna profit either way. Because a lot of people actually are registering business licenses here to get access to the big markets, where they can buy them directly from the supply chain, and they order unnecessary large amounts. Like, I've seen people on market pages on Facebook, on what's basically Craigslist here, who have like 200-300 boxes and sell them for at least an 80% markup. And it makes me question, like, why is this not illegal? Because people actually buy this. That's the most mind-boggling thing. And like I said, the issue is that people will keep doing this as long as it's not legal. They will find a way to do this. And Pokemon has issued like an official statement being like, we're very sorry about the supply chain issues, we're working on it, we're trying to produce as much as we can, and yada yada yada. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. You can produce ridiculous amounts. As long as scalpers buy them up, it doesn't fucking matter anyway. Because nobody's gonna get this stuff. As soon as it hits any kind of storefront, people are just gonna buy it en masse, and nobody has it. And especially people who have bots going on. Because don't tell me people who don't use bots, we all know they do. People are just gonna buy everything up and just sit on that. And even if they sell it for a 50% markup, they still make more profit from it than if they wouldn't have sold it. Right? That's just logic behind that. And the only way to really combat this issue is to outlaw it. And I got really fed up with this whole situation around it. I was just really fucking done with it. Because I love Pokemon. I've played it for the better of like 6-7 years, but I've collected it since Generation 3. 2002, 2003, that era. And as someone who loved collecting this, like, I have a huge collection of cards, but I'm just like, I don't want this anymore. Collecting them is not fun anymore. Because you can't get anything. I can't complete the collections I don't have completed, because you can't get any product of that, and which you can get is just horribly overpriced. And a lot of people feel the same way. Because I play and collect the game. And if you play the game, you're just screwed. Just use the online client, it's free anyway. Might just use that, who cares? I mean, with the pandemic, it's better anyway, but the fact is, even if the pandemic wouldn't be there, if we still had the same issue with supply and the scalping, you just couldn't play the game because nobody would have the cards you needed. Pokemon tries to mitigate this with the battle decks, but they, quite frankly, are not as good as they needed to be to mitigate this whole problem. And I talked to someone who is very deep involved with this whole situation, with like how this works and the intricacies of it, and I asked him like, dude, I don't want to buy Pokemon anymore. What can I do to, still get the booster opening thing going on? And he's like, buy Japanese product. Nobody buys Japanese product. Buy these. They're cheap. They have a lot. Get that. And the thing is, they have the same fucking problem now. Because everyone does it now. You can't get stuff here in the West, so they just go to Japan, to the Japanese website. Eevee Heroes, for example. That was a whole fucking disaster. I watched this happen. Like, I followed this basically live. And I just said, I fucking called it. I fucking called this. Because as soon as Eevee Heroes pre-orders went live, the website crashed. The Japanese Pokemon website crashed. Which I don't think has ever happened before. Like, not that I'm aware of, at least. And it went back on, and they were like, yeah, we're sorry, everything is sold out. And the next wave is gonna be given out through lottery tickets. And that's how bad it's gotten. Back when I got Shining V, which I only got 2 boxes of, because I was just curious, this wasn't as bad. Like, you could still order them. Like, yes, they were sold out pretty quickly, but it wasn't as bad. Like, you could order them for a couple of days, I think. But Eevee Heroes was sold out within minutes. And then the website crashed. So, now that the situation carried over to Japan, the Japanese population is like, oh, what? And this is gonna cause a whole other wave of issues, because if Pokemon Japan sees that people buy up stuff locally and then ship it over, they're gonna be like, oh, that's not something we want. Because Pokemon Japan cares about the Japanese crowd. They don't care about the West. Let's be honest, Pokemon doesn't give a shit about the West. Nobody at Nintendo does. They only care about the money we make. I mean, if they would actually care about us, we would have the Pokemon set in Europe by, last 6 years ago. I don't know. But the fact is, they don't care. But if the Japanese crowd gets unruly, they do care. So they want to try to satisfy them. And if they see that people buy this up, they're going to be way more strict with what they do. They're going to gonna control the shit out of everything. They're gonna make sure you don't get this stuff outside of Japan. And I don't know how they're gonna do it. They're probably gonna be like, oh, you can only get one per customer, or they're gonna do like some post box restriction. I don't know, but it's gonna happen eventually if this keeps going. And it's the same problem with Western Pokemon, with the big retail chains in America specifically, that they have the same problem of people just going wild about this stuff. And you have to consider that, like, if Target and Walmart are starting to phase out Pokemon because it's just simply a security concern, like, you have to get this in mind and think about it. It's a security concern to have fucking Pokemon cards, because they have people drawing guns, they have people demolishing the entire fucking store to find packs. They have people buying the packs, opening them, and resealing them and returning them. You have to think about how fucking absurd that is for a card game that's essentially, for children. And people need to stop this garbage. I personally just sat down, had a long and hard think about this, and was like, you know what? It's not fucking worth it. Because in the end, this is killing Pokemon. Not as a company, but as a franchise. Because there's a really simple logic behind this. Pokemon makes the most money out of people buying the product, playing the card game, and then, all else. People may argue, but what about the games? What about the merchandise? The thing is, yes, that exists, but they make a massive amount of money from the card game, because you have to think about how much they generate with how little they have to spend on it. It's the printers, it's the cardboard themselves they have to get, it's the packaging and the shipping. That's all they have to pay for that. There's like no other real production cost. Like the artist, yes, sure, but the artists are minimal cost compared to what they actually get from that. Just keep in mind, like, they produce a booster pack for maybe like 2-3 cents maybe. And I mean, this is just a rough guess, but it's probably gonna be like a bit more, maybe like 20 cents. But they still sell them for like $5 here. So it's like, for them it's just a fucking genius move. Consider, like, especially if you consider that they have to spend like millions in development for a game, assuming they do. But looking at Sword and Shield, they probably don't. It's a no-brainer. Like, card games just generate money for them, and it's still probably one of the biggest money makers for them. And this will really, really hurt them in the long run, because scalpers buy this product. People who are not scalpers don't get this product most of the time. People who don't get the product get frustrated, like me. They don't want to buy this game anymore. They're going to look for alternatives. There's going to be Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic, Force of Will, Vanguard, Digimon, Final Fantasy. All of these things are out there. And they're going to look at these alternatives and be like, you know what? I can't get Pokemon, but I can get Magic, so I'm going to buy Magic instead. Sure. I'm not saying all people think like that, but a lot of people will. And that's exactly what I'm getting at. Because if those people go, as soon as like the whole pandemic goes over and tournaments start again, people are not going to go to the tournaments, because they're like, I'm not going to play Pokemon anymore. I don't have the newest cards. What's the point? Right? They're going to play Magic instead. They're going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Instead. They're going to play whatever instead, or just quit altogether. And Pokemon is going to see this and be like, huh, why is that? Because, let's be real, Pokemon is very alienated from the audience. They don't know what they want. They are like, oh, they want Charizard, but just going to print 5 million Charizards. That's all they know. Because otherwise, very specific parts of the card game wouldn't have been handled as they are. And it's just the fact that they were not prepared for the influx of people who want these cards was just basically an omen for what is about to come. And they just didn't see that. They were basically just blindfolded running into the wall over there, because they just didn't realize what's going to happen. And a lot of businesses actually had the same problem. But Pokemon is very especially that, because they are the biggest franchise in the world. And they may very well lose the spot like that. Because people were already pretty fucking pissed about Sword and Shield and how bad they were. Like anyone who like values really good Pokemon games, like the basically anything that was like on the DS was fucking gold. I mean, you can tell me what you want, but Pokemon Diamond Pearl and Platinum, you had Black White 2, you had Heart Gold to Silver. Those were all good games, and then you have something like Sword and Shield that doesn't even look the par for the console it's on. Like you have the same console runs Breath of the Wild, it runs Xenoblade 2, and they run at a better frame rate on top of that, and most of the time. And the fact that they charge you to have the Pokemon that you want previously, and the flat out lies from Game Freak's development team. People were already pissed about that, and then the whole TCG thing is like the next symptom of it. So yeah, it's gonna hurt them a lot, because nobody is willing to pay for something ridiculous amounts that you should be able to get cheaper. If you want to get an Elite Trainer box for Shining Fates, here in Germany it costs $59.99, which that's the recommended price, which that's the price I'm willing to pay. I'm even willing to pay 65 or even 70 if it's from the LGS. I don't mind that, but I'm not willing to put down 150 euros for an Elite Trainer box with 10 boosters in it. That is just ridiculous. And stores I've seen online stores and even some local stores who adapt this mentality of scalpers, and it's just hurting Pokemon so much, because they see the scalpers and they're like, we want a piece of that. And there was one store that I confronted about it here, and I was like, how do you justify these prices? And they're like, oh, we didn't get as much as we wanted to. And I told them that, yeah, but if you don't sell the product, you're not going to make the money back either way. It was like, yeah, but we have to price them high because of the scarcity. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, yes, it's like a 30-40% markup would be appropriate, but not a 100-200% one. Oh, no, you're just making us look better. No, I wasn't. I was legitimately asking questions that should be asked. Why do you price this so high? And if you plan to buy any Pokemon product in the future, and you see it marked up 30, 50, 100, 200, 5 million%, don't buy it. Don't buy it. As long as people buy this problem will persist. Make it clear. Don't buy Pokemon anymore. As long as it's not retail priced. You can look up the retail prices, at least from what I know, on the Pokemon website. It should say like something like recommended price. In the US, you have the Pokemon store online, which should tell you how much it's supposed to cost. It's completely fine to accept a 10-20% markup. That's absolutely understandable if it's a local store. Not if it's a big retail chain, but if it's a local store, completely understandable. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who sell this privately. I'm telling about stores who make a massive markup. Don't buy this shit anymore. It's hurting everyone except these people, because they know as long as they get rid of it, it's worth it. It's the same with like GPUs. If you buy, like, let's just assume you got you got like 10 3080s for $700 back when they came out, and you sell them for like 2,100. It doesn't matter if you wait 2 or 3 months, you're still gonna get like 3 to 4 times what you paid for it. Who cares? It's the same principle. And as long as people buy that shit, it's gonna continue. And because I don't see any country outlawing it like anytime soon. I know that the UK has been talking about it specifically in the consoles market, but as long as it's not a blanket thing where they just say, okay, if you buy something new and it's priced, I don't know, and you sell it and it's priced let's say like 30% above the recommended price, you're gonna get a problem with us. Nobody's gonna do it, because they have to really do that. It's ridiculous that they have to. People say, oh, it's legislative capitalism. No, it's not. That's not what this is. This is just legitimately a byproduct of the pandemic, of people just being greedy shitheads, of people just speculating on stuff. It's the same as Bitcoin in that regard. They're just speculating, and it's the trend of people on YouTube and Twitch opening Pokemon cards. I'm not saying that people on Twitch Pokemon cards are solely responsible for that, because that's a stupid statement to make. Anyone who does that should really look into the whole situation and need to be inside of it, because they are nothing but one of the reasons. Because I've seen, like, for instance, Critical opened tons of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I don't see Yu-Gi-Oh cards being sold out everywhere. It's specifically Pokemon that has this problem, because Pokemon is such a massive franchise to begin with. And the Pokemon company just not caring. I'm personally switched back to Force of Will. It's not that I'm super into the card game, but I still think the artwork is pretty. You can get it for cheap. And I recommend everyone who loves Pokemon to just wait. Don't buy anything and just wait. Because the longer you let scalpers sit on this product, the more you hurt them and not anyone else. Because you don't need this stuff right now. You can wait until it's back at retail price. But these scalpers need this stuff gone. Because I said earlier that it doesn't matter to people who buy like GPs and shit like that. The thing is, the longer you have them wait, the more they get antsy about it. And the lower the price they sell it for will get. The people who buy graphics cards and shit like that, they usually have a plan. You know, they are. I mean, if you have like $12,000 to spend on graphics card, you probably have much money to spare. But with Pokemon cards, it's more like they keep buying and buying and buying and buying and buying, and it's gonna bite them in the ass eventually if you just don't buy it back. Cause let's just think about it. We have people like in the Walmart video who go into the stores, buy, I don't know, let's say 50 products. And they do that every 2 weeks. If they don't sell this, they can, at a certain point in time, they won't be able to do that anymore, because a lot of people aren't like people who have a job, like a 9-to-5 job, or a business to run. A lot of those people are actually people who just do this because they are like, oh, hey, Pokemon makes money. Let's just no. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of people actually just do it because they smell gold. And it has to be made very clear to these people that it's just not fucking worth it. And I'm usually against snitching people out, but the thing is, if you see anyone selling Pokemon cards on the internet, like in huge quantities, try to find out if they have, like, you know, like an actual business license or something like that, because at least in Germany it's kind of like if you sell something in a certain quantity or a certain amount, you have to have a business license. Otherwise it's just straight up tax evasion, which as we all know, nobody fucks with that. Nobody wants to fuck with that except rich people, because they have enough money to not give a shit, apparently. But as your everyday man who tries to make a buck of selling Pokemon cards for 10 times the price, they usually don't. And if they don't, report these fuckers. Because is going to be the biggest hurting thing for them. Because if it bites them back and they have to, not going to do it anymore. Yes, it's going to probably fuck up a lot of people, but the thing is, they fuck up a lot of people in return by doing this. I don't feel bad for that. I would feel bad if it was like people who were like, you know, they have like this one box sitting around for the last 30 years and selling that. Like, I would feel bad about that. Because if you do it like one or two times with like not a huge amount, but just something you have sitting around, do what you want. I don't mind that. But if it's people who continuously rob the stores essentially of product, as silly as it sounds, and then go to hell for all I care. The same with GPUs, the same with consoles, the same with anything. Like, people who do this shit, they deserve the stuff they're getting themselves into, the legal issues and whatnot. I don't condone like fucking weapons being drawn on people or assaulted for whatever reason over this, because that's just straight out inhumane. But try to do this on a legal level. That's what I'm saying. Try to show these people that they can't do this. This is not a thing they should be doing. And show them the consequences of their actions. Because that's the only thing that will stop them. Because a lot of these people are absolutely ruthless, otherwise they wouldn't be doing this. I mean, I did sell sealed Pokemon product for a bit. But it wasn't something that I just went to the store and bought and immediately sold them. It was a fucking box from 3 years ago that I completely forgot I even had. Because it was still downstairs in the cabinet, and I just discovered it while sorting cards. I was like, oh, I still have this. Because I accidentally bought 2 of these. Because I only wanted 1, but, then I had 2. It was a fucking Dragon Majesty box. Nobody cares about that set. Yes, I sold it, and I sold it for way more than I paid for it. But the thing is, that's like 3 years old. Who gives a shit? There's a lot of people who buy stuff and let it appreciate its value, which is absolutely fine. If people wouldn't do that, then you wouldn't have other people who could buy this stuff in like 10 years from now and be like, oh, look, I found this thing from 10 years ago. Let's look into this. I mean, I fucking love people who open old Pokemon product because that's just a huge nostalgia boner for me, especially like the first EX sets, like EX Deoxys, EX Emerald, Ruby Sapphire, all that stuff. That's a huge nostalgia boner for me. But buying completely new product that came out like literally 2 days ago, no. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Pokemon experts will disagree with what I'm saying. But you have to keep in mind that this is a complete objective view of mine. Not objective. Subjective. Completely subjective view of mine. I'm not saying that anything should be taken as a fact. But what I'm saying is that you should look at this yourself and decide, do you want to put up with this anymore? Because I don't. I really don't. And you shouldn't if you are right of mind. Simply because it's not worth it. It's not worth it for anyone except the scalpers. I mean, yes, I've been going on a tangent and repeating myself time and time again, but that's just how upset I am at this, because I love this whole franchise so much. Anyone who knows me personally knows how much I love this franchise. I wouldn't have become a judge if I wouldn't love the game or everything about them. I mean, for a time, I collected everything Latios related just because I could. Because I fucking loved that. And I still have so much Pokemon memorabilia just sitting in my shelves because I still love it, but I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm not willing to put up with it, and I've started to sell my collection because of that. And I actually am one of the people who isn't like, oh, I want every single penny from this that I can milk out of it. No, I gave people like fucking 30-40% off of the cards. I don't give a shit. I didn't pay nearly as much as they go for now. For instance, this is the first example that pops into my mind. The Latios promo card, secret rare, from Pokemon Tag Team, the team up, I think it's called. Back when the card was new, it cost like $25. That's legitimately how much it cost. I did look it up back in the day, and I pulled one, and I was happy. Now it goes for €300. That's an immense amount more. That's like base set unlimited Charizard levels almost. And that's just ridiculous to me, because this is stupid. And when I sell these cards, I'm not gonna charge that amount for it if I see a card that I know was cheaper a year ago. I'm not gonna charge people the full amount of it. Like, yes, I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, 20% off. But it's still gonna be a better deal for them and for me, because I get rid of the card and they get something nice for cheap. And that's a mentality I think a lot of people should reconsider. If you do this commercially, you don't need to. But if you are a private person that doesn't really need the money for financial stability or something, just something, to make space or just to get rid of the stuff, who cares? Just fucking put it a bit cheaper and make some people happy. Because and just give shit away if you have something invaluable. I have tons of the energy card boxes. I have tons of Pokemon dice from the Elite Trainer boxes, and I just give this shit away. I see people putting it on Facebook for like $5 for the dice and the counters, and it's just fucking plastic from an Elite Trainer box that you're not going to use anyway. Just fucking give it away. Don't try to milk this. Like, I can't count the amounts of times I made like the 7-8-year-old children at our LGS happy by just giving them the booster, the sleeves that come with the late trainer boxes, because I have like such a fucking stack with them. Because I'm not gonna use these garbage things. I'd rather use like Ultra Pro, Ultimate Guard, or whatever. Not the fucking Pokemon plastic garbage they give you with. Or the dice. People fucking love the dice. I mean, I have a huge collection of them myself, but I don't need more. If I have like the same box, like I said, I buy every box 4 times. So if I have one, that's enough for me. I'm gonna give the other 3 sets away because I don't need them. And it can be said about anything. Like even the fucking bits. Like I have so many of the figurines from like the Regizard collection, the Sword and Shield. I think the Pikachu collection it was with a little figurine in it. I give these away if anyone wants these locally. I'm not gonna ship them because it's just too much trouble. But if anyone locally wants them, I'm just like, yeah, sure, here, have it. Even the XL cards I usually give away if I have more than one, because I don't need them. And I'm not saying people should always do that, but it would be a lot better for the community as a whole if people would do that. Because the more you hound for pennies, the more you try to fuck up people for just, liking stuff in this game, for just being happy to be part of it, the more likely you're going to have them turn away and just sit there alone. That's kind of how a lot of big names like Force of Will died. Like, yes, Force of Will shuffled its own grave with its severe mistakes, but there was also the fact that a lot of people in the community were super toxic at some points and just turned off new players. And Pokemon is at the point where it kind of is starting to do the same, but not with like people actually playing the game, or people just trying to collect the game. And if anyone actually gives a fuck about the game, then don't give in to scalpers. Don't give in to the overpriced garbage that's being sold right now. Wait until Pokemon realizes what's going on and is forced to act. Because the quality of the cards themselves started to suffer from how Pokemon is rushing these things. I've seen more and more booster packs just being either shittily assorted, cards being printed into the booster pack packaging, like they're being stamped on the top of it. I've seen cards being completely off center. And for the love of God, stop the fucking grading bullshit. Nobody's gonna give a shit if you grade your 5 million cards from Limit Voltage. The only cards that people actually give a shit about graded are the high value cards. Because PSA is completely overblown with this, and now other services started to pop up, and they're all fucking garbage. So just take a step back and just wait. If you can get product for retail value and you collect or you just want to play, be my guest. But if you resell this, go fuck yourself. Honestly, just go fuck yourself. It's hurting everyone around you, and you're just a leech to the human society. I mean, they're sending people to Mars. Why not go there? Not be a bother to anyone else. But as long as you're here, stop the fucking scamming. Stop the fucking scalping. And just stop being a fucking leech. That's it. Goodbye.